Good evening, Raider fans, and welcome to the Raider Nation podcast, and I'm your host, Raider Greg, and I am a little excited. I think we can beat the Bills on Sunday at 1:15 McAfee Coliseum. I believe we can beat this team, and there's a lot of reasons. I'm going to give them to you as soon as I get through the end of this podcast. Well, the Bills, AFC East contenders, they're 3-3. I will dismantle the 3-3 here for you in just a bit. I wanted to go over some of the comments that were made, however, by the head coach and some of their star players when I researched the Buffalo Bills site about the upcoming Oakland Raider game. There is not a whole lot of trash talk going on. They're being a little bit quiet, and at the end of the podcast, I'm sure you'll know why. All right, Mike Mularkey. I call him Mularkey because I don't know any other way to say his name. He is the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, and during his press conference, he was asked, how do you feel about the Oakland Raiders? Since they're a 1-4 team, do you feel any pressure here? And, of course, he came up with a standard, well, you always have to be ready for any team to rise up to the occasion. They have some great weapons on their team, and we're not sure if Randy Moss is going to play or not, but we have to be prepared for them to play their best football. Well, no doubt, when you come off a loss like that, you better be ready, because just like peeing into a hornet's nest, I'm going to tell you right now, the Hornets better come out ready to sting. Okay, London Fletcher, linebacker. He's a star linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. He expects Randy Moss to play. I do not expect Randy Moss to play. Matter of fact, I give it less than 25% chance. And if you put it all together and think about it, why have Randy Moss play when you have other weapons on wide receiving core that are very, very effective and efficient, and he's not going to play at 100% anyway? Why take the chance of losing him for the rest of the season? Randy Moss will not play. This guy, London, loves the Raider fans. He loves the painted faces. It feeds his motivation. It feeds his intensity. So all I got to say about London is, when he comes out to the field, Raider fans, let's give him a good old black hole welcome the way we can there at the Black Hole in Oaktown. The baddest of the bad, the fans, the original crazed fans in the NFL, the Oakland Raider fans. Troy Vincent, who was a safety for the Bills, first time he came in, I believe it was in 2004, he called his wife and said, oh, this stadium is gross. They need a new stadium here. That's what they thought about the McAfee Coliseum. He also said that the fans are just as crazy and dressed up and nasty as they've said. Well, no doubt. What do you think this is? Playtime? You're in the real deal now, Vincent. Get a clue. You're going to get a big dose of the Raider Nation when you come crawling out of the tunnel. Actually, when you go crawling back. Willis McGahee, running back. He's one of the co-leaders of the AFC East in running. He's got 4 TDs right now, and he's running the ball pretty doggone good. Well, he's no LT, and thank goodness for that, but he thinks he is, because when he was questioned about Sapp in Washington, he punked him hard. He said, the reporter said, how do you think you're going to be preparing for Warren Sapp and Ted Washington? And he said, well, they better be preparing for me. Well, there you go, Raider fans. If that doesn't motivate Sapp in Washington to put some hits on this guy, I don't know what's gonna, because that would flip me out if someone said that about me in the press. And they should be flipped out. The whole team should be flipped out. They should come out of this. They should come out of the tunnel with so much intensity they're walking 3 feet off the ground in this game. They sorely disappointed the fans in the last game with their pathetic intensity and the lack of dedication and the lack of that Raider gut spirit. They better find that before Sunday. We'll be able to tell the first go-round. We'll be able to tell quite for sure. Kelly Holcomb, quarterback, was talking about how in the last 3 games, their first possession, they've driven the ball all the way down for a quote-unquote easy touchdown. We've moved the ball well and not had too much trouble getting into the end zone. Well, welcome to Oakland. If you can hear, you'll be able to do something, but I don't think you're going to go that far. Now, this kid that was hurt, Roscoe Paris, he's a pretty good player, I must admit. He's coming back from an injury for the Raider game. He hurt his wrist, And he is a tall, lanky, fast guy. He reminds me of Randy Moss. He's fast, and he's got great hands. He is the long ball threat. With Holcomb in there, they can get that ball out. So I expect our safeties and our defensive backs better be ready for this guy because he is the real deal, and we need to keep an eye on him. And I think Charles Woodson might get the job. Okay, now, the Buffalo Bills are sixth. They're sixth in rushing, and they're 31st in passing. The Raiders, 31st in rushing and 5th in passing. Not that I give those numbers a whole lot of credence, because I really don't. Numbers are numbers. They can be skewed any way you want. Kind of makes the contest look better, though. Now, the Buffalo Bills also are 0-2 for road games. That's good for us, because they're flying all the way from New York. That's a long way from home. But they're going to come into a nice stadium, I think, with nice weather for sure, and play the Oakland Raiders, the original bad boys of the AFC. Now let's look at the matchup here. Eric Moulds is another wide receiver who has taken the place of this Roscoe Paris guy and has done very well for himself. I don't think Woodson's going to be on him, but they have him matched up with Woodson. London Fletcher and Lamont Jordan, that's an easy matchup. Like I said before, doesn't look like Moss is going to play. I think that's a good thing, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Let's look at the win-loss record for the Bills. Now, the Bills have lost to the Saints. That's nothing to write home about. The Falcons, they're a decent team. And the Bucks, they're a better than decent team. So, those three are their losses. Now, let's look at their wins. They beat the Texans. Ooh. They're in the toilet, the bottom of the 32nd in the NFL on all fronts. They suck. The Dolphins, not too much better. And the Jets, who are expected to be Super Bowl contenders, they're toilet bowl contenders right now. So the three teams they've beat aren't that good. Now, we don't look that good either, but we have the talent. We have the talent, and if we can get the coaches to stop doing whatever they're doing the week of the game and start planning on the plays, we might be able to beat these guys. Matter of fact, I'm sure we will. Here's why I think the Randy Moss factor is a good thing. Because when Randy Moss is out the game, when he's out of the plays, then Kerry Collins has to look and pick on different receivers, which he does a better job at. Not very much better, but he does a better job at doing that. I think with the Moss factor, when Randy's in there, he spends so much time looking for where Randy is that he doesn't see open receivers, even underneath when Lamont is standing there with nobody on him. I believe Kerry Collins is going to be forced to use his eyes and ears and anything else as far as talent he has left in himself to make this team move the ball down the field. And without Moss in there, I think that he's going to have to do it, and forcing him to do it is a good thing. Now, I want to tell you, Raider fans, I believe this is a winnable game. The defense came out flat last Sunday, and they've got to be rested for this Sunday because they didn't work very hard last week. They will be ready to play. And if the defense can step it up and stand up, then we have a good chance of beating these guys at home. Because you can see by their win-loss record and who they've won and who they've lost to, the Oakland Raiders are right in there. We have to win this game. We need a win. With a loss here, it will be a devastating disappointment, not only to the team, but certainly to the fans. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to lose any fans because we ain't no 49er team where the fans jump ship like rats on a sinking one. Because I'll tell you what, right now, I know a lot of 49ers season ticket holders that used to throw it in my face that ain't going to the games no more. They're selling their tickets. They're giving them away. They're trying to sell them on eBay. They're selling them all over the place. You know why? Because they're fair weather fans. The Oakland Raiders may not sell out every game, but we always have a consistent showing, and the fans stand behind the team. This is one of the things I love about the Raider Nation. We stand behind our team. Win or lose, flush or bust, we're always there. I wear my colors no matter what. I get hurt. People always working me over. Hey, you know what? That's part of being a Raider fan. You got to take the good with the bad, because the bad makes it all the more sweeter when it's good. And I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Raider fans, there's a couple of guys from England. I believe Randy's going to put their picture up on the site. They're coming all the way over here from the UK to the Bay to see their Oakland Raiders. They've been fans since the 80s play football. Now, talk about a dedicated fan. From the UK, baby, all the way here. Check out my site, www.RaiderNationPodcast.com. Check out their picture. If you see them, they got a Union Jack flag, which is very, very cool, silver and black with a Raider Nation, with a Raider sticker or a face right in the middle of it. It's bad to the bone. These guys are true fans, and it's awesome. The funny thing about that is, and the way I'm going to segue into this other thing, I got this clown over there. His name's Russell, I believe, and he's a 49er fan, and he's been emailing me about how terrible the Raiders are and how I should go over to the 49ers because the Raiders are so bad. That is so funny. I told him, and in essence, I'll tell you what the email, what I sent him back said. I said, I wouldn't be caught dead in the Candlestick parking lot if my life depended on it. And the other thing was, I told him that in the case that if he ever had any sack and he considered himself to be a true fan, or what I would call a contender, then I would say you would get your ass on a plane and put some ducats down and come and see your team play. And until you decide to do that, stop emailing me, because you're not a contender. You are a pure pretender, a typical 49er fan that doesn't go to the games, that doesn't have any heart, that only likes to go to the games if they're in championship level, just like the rest of the rats on the sinking ship. Anyways, I just like I'd throw that into you. And if you see these guys, check out my site, look at their faces. They're a couple of really cool dudes. Check them out. If you see them walking around at the tailgate, pull them over, get them a beer, buy them a cocktail beverage, whatever you do, welcome these guys, because they are the real deal, man. They're fans from the UK. I'm going to meet up with them there, do a little interview on the video, and hopefully we can pull out a win for these guys since they're traveling all this way to see the Raiders play football. On that note, I want to thank all you fans for tuning in. I love you guys. I love the comments that get sent. Nilbilly Boy, you are still truly an awesome fan. I love you, man. You got some great takes. And David, Raider Dave, I got all kinds of guys emailing me, and I just want to thank you so much. Remember to vote Podcast Alley for Raider Nation Podcast, because those Bolt guys are still 2 votes ahead of us. Every time we get a vote, he must call his grandparents and their cousins and third cousins and who knows what else is going on. He gets everybody to vote. As soon as we get ahead of them, he has them voting. You know what? Forget the Bolt cast. I'm glad I got the fans that I do. I'm glad the Raider fans are the only true fans in the NFL that follow their team through thick and thin, through bust or not. The Raider Nation hangs tight, and I am proud to consider myself part of the Raider Nation. Thank you for listening. I'll be giving a short pregame show probably on Friday or maybe even Saturday morning about the pump up, because we need this game. We need it for pride. We need it for the locker room. We need it for our own guys. And most of all, we need it for the Raider Nation. I am out.